The amazing world of Gumball has changed a lot since its first rough concept in 2008, going from a strange mixed media experiment to one of Cartoon Network's most creative shows. Today, we're breaking down the entire evolution of Gumball, from early Blue Cat redesigns to cliffhanger finales and the new Hulu spinoff, explained in detail. And if your life feels even a little like Elmore, you might as well subscribe before it glitches. Rough concept to wild world. The Amazing World of Gumball started life in 2008 as a rough internal pitch at Cartoon Network, a show where characters drawn in totally different styles would all exist in the same bizarre town. Instead of building a traditional cartoon world, the team treated Elmore like a visual collage, layering 2D characters over real photographed backgrounds and dropping in 3D and CGI characters as if they naturally belonged there. That approach was risky because any mismatch in lighting, scale, or movement could break the illusion completely. But it also meant the show could turn visual noise into a strength, using contrast to make every character instantly readable the moment they step on screen. In these early days, nothing was fully locked. Character designs were still evolving, the tone was still being tested, and even the main character's species wasn't final yet. What was clear, though, was that the mixed media concept gave Gumball a built-in personality before anyone said a single line of dialogue. When the series finally premiered in 2011, that experimental idea had evolved into a fully realized world that could jump from grounded family problems to complete visual chaos in seconds, instantly separating Gumball from every other show on the network. Blue Cat, final design. Gumball didn't begin as the Blue Cat everyone recognizes today. In early development, the team experimented with different looks, including making him a blue dog. As his personality solidified, unlucky, dramatic, impulsive, but still weirdly optimistic, they realized that energy fit a cat much better, especially one who always seems a little cursed by the universe. For a while, they pushed him toward a black cat design, leaning into the classic bad luck symbolism. But that direction boxed the character in and felt too gloomy for the kind of fast, absurd comedy the show wanted to do. The breakthrough was changing his color to bright blue, a shade you almost never see on real cats, and giving him a look inspired by retro Japanese mascots from the 70s and 80s. Early versions of Gumball had a more rectangular head and gigantic eyes that swallowed most of his face, creating a very rough, less polished version of what he would become. Those exaggerated proportions, though, helped the animators push his expressions to extremes, making every overreaction and meltdown instantly readable. As the design refined, he stayed unmistakably blue and hyper-expressive, which turned him into a logo for the entire show, one silhouette and color scheme that told you exactly what kind of world you were stepping into. Season 1, Elmore Comes Alive. When The Amazing World of Gumball officially premiered in May 2011 with the episode The DVD, the experiment finally met a real audience, and Elmore instantly felt like a place instead of a test render. The show locked onto the Watterson family, Gumball, Darwin, Nicole, Richard, and Anais, as the emotional anchor that held all the visual chaos together. Even in Season 1, the series leaned hard into everyday problems that spiraled out of control. Losing a DVD, getting in trouble at school, dealing with awkward classmates, all pushed to absurd extremes by the show's anything goes world. Visually, Season 1 made the mixed media concept its signature. 2D characters with thick outlines running across real photos of streets and houses, 3D and CGI classmates crowding hallways, and background extras that looked like they came from totally different cartoons. Gumball himself was still a bit less polished, with a slightly boxier head and huge eyes that made him look even more chaotic and childlike. The risk paid off quickly. The show pulled in over 2 million viewers for its debut in the US, and even won a British Academy Children's Award for Animation in its first year, proving that this strange collage world actually connected with people. Season 1 didn't just introduce Elmore, it proved that this kind of visual experiment could carry a long-running series. Seasons 2 to 3, sharper look, new voices. With Season 2, which premiered in 2012, Gumball's world didn't reboot, it refined. The Watterson designs were adjusted to feel cleaner and more appealing on screen, with subtle tweaks that you might not notice at first but completely change how the characters read. Gumball and Darwin's eyes were rounded out, and Darwin's body shadow was softened because many viewers thought that darker shading was actually clothing instead of lighting. The rest of the family followed that rounder, softer eye style so everyone felt like they belonged to the same design language, even while the show kept throwing different art styles into the background. Behind the scenes, though, the show was already dealing with one of its biggest long-term challenges: child voice actors growing up. By the end of season 2, Logan Grove and Kwesi Boki's voices had noticeably deepened, and it was clear they were starting to age out of Gumball and Darwin. Season 3, starting in 2014, brought a major shift as Jacob Hopkins and Terrell Ransom Jr. took over the lead roles in the episode The Kids, complete with an in-universe joke about their voices changing. At the same time, the Wattersons got their final visual upgrade, locking in designs that would stay mostly consistent from here on out. By 2015, with tighter designs and new actors, Gumball had fully grown into its identity, a show that could change pieces constantly while still feeling like the same world every episode. Season 4, Peak Gumball. By Season 4, released in 2015, Gumball felt fully locked in, visually sharp, tonally confident, and packed with some of its most inventive episodes. The show balanced fast, absurd comedy with surprisingly grounded emotional beats, using Elmore's anything goes logic as a way to exaggerate real kid problems instead of replacing them. Critics and fans responded. The season pulled strong ratings and even landed around a 93% score on review sites, signaling that Gumball wasn't just a weird experiment anymore, but one of Cartoon Network's standout modern series. Around this time, talk of a possible Gumball movie began surfacing in interviews, and a casual comment from creator Ben Bockley about interest in a film sent fans into speculation mode. Season 4 became the point where viewers stopped asking, "What is this show?" and started asking, "How far can this world actually go?" Season 5 out of 6, Cracks and Goodbyes. Season 5 arrived in 2016, still delivering clever episodes while fans quietly waited for real news about that teased movie. But almost immediately after Season 5 dropped, Ben Bockley announced that Season 6 would be his last, signaling a major turning point for the series. He clarified that Gumball itself wasn't necessarily ending, but the idea of the creator stepping away made fans wonder how the show would survive without its original voice guiding the chaos. At the same time, the cycle of child actors aging out continued. Jacob Hopkins and Terrell Ransom Jr., who had been voicing Gumball and Darwin since Season 3, were replaced by Nicholas Cantu and Danielle T. Hansley Jr., who quickly settled into the roles after the Copycats episode. Between looming creator exit news and another voice shift, Seasons 5 and 6 felt like Gumball's stable world starting to shake behind the scenes. Season 6, Non-Ending Finale. Season 6 premiered in 2018 with even more behind-the-scenes change, including one more major voice swap. Nicholas Cantu stayed as Gumball, but Christian J. Simon replaced Danielle T. Hansley Jr. as Darwin in The Anybody, covered by a quick in-episode gag where Darwin fixes his voice mid-scene. Around this time, it was confirmed that Season 6 would be the final season, with 240 episodes total and a movie script in development, which made every new episode feel like it could be building toward a real conclusion. Instead, the finale left Gumball on a massive cliffhanger. Rob falls into the void after warning about a coming danger, and nothing is truly resolved. Fans were split. Some found it disappointing or even depressing, while others loved it as a bold setup for the promised movie. The result was an ending that felt more like a pause, with the entire fan base stuck waiting to see if the story would ever finish. Miniseries era. Holding pattern. After Season 6, Gumball didn't disappear. It shifted into a kind of holding pattern through spin-off miniseries. In December 2019, Darwin's Yearbook aired as a 6-episode mini, following Darwin as he tried to decide who should be named Best Person Ever in the Elmore Junior High Yearbook. The episodes mostly reused clips from past stories, but added new framing scenes and moments, turning nostalgia into a way to keep fans engaged while the main show sat on that unresolved cliffhanger. Then, in 2020, the Gumball Chronicles arrived with a similar format, short episodes that stitched together memorable scenes from the series, again with some fresh material layered on top. Both projects worked like highlight reels and reminder campaigns, keeping Elmore in circulation and giving fans something to hold on to while they waited for news about the long-teased movie and whatever might come next for the Wattersons. The movie dream becomes real. For years, the idea of a Gumball movie floated around in interviews and fan speculation, but nothing was official, just hints and hopeful comments. That changed on September 21st, 2021, when HBO Max and Cartoon Network finally announced two big projects at once: a full-length Gumball movie and a new series tied to it. For fans, this felt like the missing piece after the season 6 cliffhanger, a chance to return to Elmore on a bigger scale and maybe resolve the story threads left dangling in the Inquisition. The announcement promised a feature-length film plus a follow-up show that would technically sit apart from the original series, but still live in the same universe. It suddenly looked like Gumball wasn't just getting closure, it was getting a full second life. For a moment, the future of the franchise seemed brighter than ever, with hype rebuilt around both nostalgia and the possibility of finally answering what that ominous void ending was really setting up. Merger chaos and sudden silence. Then, almost as quickly as things had started to look hopeful, corporate reality hit. In 2022, Warner Bros. Merged with Discovery, and the new leadership began aggressively cutting projects, canceling or shelving a long list of animated shows and films from HBO Max's lineup. Gumball, despite having been officially greenlit, was caught in the crossfire. The planned movie and new series were effectively put on hold, with no clear path to release. From the outside, it looked like the entire revival had been quietly frozen. Fans who had just celebrated the big announcement suddenly had nothing but uncertainty, watching other animated projects vanish from streaming and worrying Gumball might be next. Official communication went almost completely silent, and the once promising movie felt like it might become another lost what could have been in modern animation history. The franchise's evolution stalled, not because the world of Elmore ran out of ideas, but because the business side pulled the brakes. Quiet signs Gumball wasn't dead. Even while things looked frozen from the outside, there were hints that Gumball hadn't actually been abandoned behind the scenes. In 2022 and 2023, sharp-eyed fans noticed crew members updating their LinkedIn profiles to list ongoing work on Gumball-related projects, suggesting production hadn't completely stopped, just shifted off the public radar. Studios like Bobby Pills and Lighting VFX also appeared connected to Gumball in professional credits, implying animation and visual work were still moving in some form. These quiet updates kept hope alive during nearly 2 years with no big official announcements. While there were no trailers, no press releases, and no clear statement on the movie's fate, the paper trail of artists and studios still listing Gumball signaled that the franchise was too valuable and too beloved to simply disappear. Instead of a clean cancellation, it felt more like the series had slipped into a weird limbo, waiting for the right platform and timing to make a proper comeback. The Wonderfully Weird Return. That comeback finally arrived on May 19th, 2025, when Hulu dropped a trailer titled The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball, revealing a new spin-off series that would effectively act as a Season 7 for the franchise. Released as a Hulu exclusive, the show brings back Elmore with the same core personality, absurd logic, mixed media visuals, and fast layered jokes, but now aimed at even more current topics like AI companions and apps that turn people into zombies. Alongside the new stories came a fresh set of voices. Elio Thial and Hero Hunter stepped in as the new Gumball and Darwin, continuing the series' tradition of rotating child actors as the characters stay forever stuck at cartoon age. Early reactions highlight how natural the new cast feels in the roles, and how the updated plots let Gumball comment on modern internet culture without losing its original heart. From a scrappy 2008 experiment to a 2025 streaming revival, Gumball's evolution shows how a strong, weird world can survive redesigns, recasts, cliffhangers, and even corporate chaos and still come back feeling like home.